Hans Wormhat. This is a video on jobs in tranny land. I'm just going to read some comments from Reddit. WTF does the husband do that he makes $200,000 a year at 26? Probably does nothing. Probably goes on trips to Europe and all over the world and just posts photos on Facebook all the time. And that's probably what their job is. They probably don't do anything. Maybe every once in a while they have to go to a meeting or call into a meeting. But for the most part, these people that make tons of money at a young age, they were just illuminated into that position. Their parents are probably very high level trannies. You can work your way up in tranny land by doing the steps, joining masonry, doing all the satanic ceremonies, and by being a disgusting person, you can claw your way to the top. But the ones like this are just born into it. There's no possible way that somebody could be 26 and making $200,000 a year. A regular human, they could work at a place for their whole life and they're not going to make that much money. So what's a 26-year-old doing making $200,000 a year? It's just that this is a rigged game. The tranny land game is rigged. And fake it till you make it. They're a bunch of liars. The salary could even be fake. A lot of these rich people, it doesn't really appear that they have access to the money that they claim to. I know a lot of people that they claim to be really rich, but they're so stingy in a lot of ways. Like these people that like to show off as if they're rich, you hear the strangest things from their family. Like I just know one invert in particular who I would hear crazy things like when they would go back home to visit their strat mom and strat sister, when they would go out to eat, their strat mom would make them pay for their part of dinner. You never hear of that for regular families. If there's a regular family and your kid comes home from college, your child comes home from college, and you take them out to eat, you pay for the meal. You don't make your child pay. But it's like in these, I want to call them like quasi-rich, because allegedly they make a lot of money and allegedly they have a lot of money in the bank account and all that, but it seems like they're the stingiest with it and they're weird about money, almost as if they don't have it for reals. So I don't know what's going on with that. But it's these higher class trannies. No human could ever be like that, but you don't want to. Just read the Bible. If you're rich, you're not going to make it to the kingdom of heaven, and you don't want your treasures here on earth. It's vanity here, it's Satan's earth, and it's nothing to covet. But I mean, it is a good way to wake up to the deception, to wake up to how big this is, when you realize it's not just celebrities, it's just anybody in a position of power, anybody that has a lot of money. Just look at them and they'll be inverted. It's simple. Today is my first day, so I'm going to look at just two major career paths for inverts, for high-level inverts. If you want to be a smarty pants invert, maybe go into academia, maybe research something that doesn't exist. Today is my first day as a postdoctoral researcher at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. Look, they got these old world buildings with the windows underground. They even have an orange cone right there, probably because it flooded, because nobody makes a building like this, because it floods. So these buildings, they used to be higher up off the ground. They sank into the ground after Noah's flood. This is an invert, an MTF tranny. Look at that hand, how large the knuckles are, and they're straight across. Like that hand could really punch somebody. It's because it's a dude wearing 2 watches. Those are some really strong looking legs. And up, down, no Q angle. See how the legs are just completely vertical? Female legs angle in, because women have a Q angle. And this is the typical foot attire for MTF academia trannies. Andromeda 321. 2-1 is 3, of course, so 321 is basically a 33. The building behind me is where the Harvard computers really started modern astrophysics by unlocking the secrets of astronomical spectra. Listen to the words that they are telling you. Really read the words that they're choosing. Unlocking the secrets. You know what the secret is? That it's a bunch of BS. So they can just tell you whatever they want. The stories that they claim about the outer space fantasy land is absurd when you really know what's going on. All that they're doing is allegedly collecting light, and they want to pretend like they can tell you every little thing about it, when they can't even tell you what sleep is. They can't even tell you what keeps a bicycle upright, but they want you to think that they can tell you about these far away worlds from what light, from just looking at a piece of light. And if you just go use your eyes and you go look at the sky, you can see it's not NASA Outer Space Fantasyland, and they're all very close, twinkly. You can't see objects that are that far away. That are as far away as NASA claims. They just pick these numbers that are so huge so that if you're like, that doesn't make sense, they can say, well, you can't understand it. It's too big for you to understand. No, you're just a bullshitter. All right, let's keep reading. I'll be honest, I was never one to dream about coming here because I never thought I was good enough. My first project is going to be on radio and X-ray data from a black hole that ate a star. The way that they talk about this stuff too, very infantile. Oh, a black hole ate a star, which I've wanted to study for years, and the entire thing is just so surreal. I talk about this all the time. When they're doing their hoaxes, when they're doing their deceptions, they'll tell you, oh, it just felt like a dream. Oh, it didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real. Oh, it's surreal. These are ways of them telling you it's a bunch of bullshit. Would you mind giving an explain like I-5 about how one goes about analyzing what I imagine to be reams upon reams of data? Is it a question of taking point-in-time snapshots and calculating how everything is moving? Andromeda responds, basically, you use supercomputers. Okay, that's not science. Science is reproducible. Supercomputers are probably a Disneyland hoax that don't exist. Where's Google Glass? What happened to Google Glass? Why don't I see a bunch of people walking around with Google Glass on? Because it was a hoax. It never existed. They like to have these technology hoaxes. How often do you hear of some crazy thing that's coming out of Japan that's going to blow everybody's mind, and then a few years later, nobody ever thinks about it again? They have these science technology hoaxes. The X-ray is easier because Chandra gives us the images already pretty processed. So this person, who allegedly is top of their field, or not the top of their field, but, this isn't just a lay person who is interested in astrophysics. This is somebody with a PhD in astrophysics. They're not even collecting the data. They're already getting stuff that's been very processed. And it's because they're just an extension of the octopus arm system they're just being told what to do. They don't get to go and collect the data themselves. Even the PhD level, they're being hand-fed stuff that's already processed. I've wanted to be an astronomer since I was 13 and read a book on it. I love stories. They don't say they love the truth. They don't say they love even science. I love stories, and the one about our universe is the biggest and most majestic one we have. It's just a story, guys. They're telling you. Yes, the group I've joined has been observing this source for several years, but it's undergoing a transition. Oh, it's a group. Even this group of stars or black holes, or I don't know what they're talking about, it's undergoing a transition, so someone has to see what it's been up to. Here's another comment. It used to be a research telescope, but is now used for outreach, and all our telescopes are in faraway places. How convenient. Even if you happen to have a PhD in astrophysics, the likelihood that you're going to be able to go use one of these telescopes is zero. They're in faraway places. You need to be told to go there. You need to be basically illuminated into a position where they're going to send you out on these trips. And when you get there, guess what? It's probably Disneyland. These places probably don't even do what they claim. Then, like anything these days, you download the data off the internet. They have no idea where this data comes from. It's not like they're there using the instruments and gathering the data. No, they're just downloading some file off the internet. Who knows where it came from? Congratulations, but why are you wearing 2 watches? One is sentimental. It reminded me instantly of Pulp Fiction, the story about keeping the watch up the person's butt in a POW camp, which hoax story, of course. Prisoner of wars don't exist these days. It's just fake war stories. They got to get a weird sodomy reference in there. But the watch as a sentimental thing, it's Masonic. And that's why they wear 2 watches. I mean, here even, um, Mars mission team members often wear 2 watches. Yeah, because it's a Masonic symbol. One for Earth time and one for Mars time. They'll give you some dumb explanation. Hi, sorry for the delay. One that I like to point out when the moon is really bright is that the moon is actually as reflective as an asphalt parking lot. They mystify you with these things. That's not true. How that should be very obvious to people that that can't be. When you look up at the moon on a full moon and it's very bright, these days it's so bright it casts a bunch of glare. And then some astrotard is going to come out and say, actually, did you know that the surface of the moon is only as reflective as asphalt? Okay, then it wouldn't look like this. That makes no sense. You're a liar, and you're just bullshitting. For what it's worth, I was never one of those A students either because I don't test well. I don't test well. That's like, you have no idea. I went into academia. I went pretty far in academia. If I had $1 for every tranny that says, well, I just don't test well. No, you're just not as smart as you like to pretend you are. That's your big problem. And I'm starting a postdoc at Harvard this week. I know how to work hard. And basically, you know how to screech really loud and make people's lives miserable so that they just pass you through the system rather than chucking you to the curb. I know how to work hard, and that has counted far more in my career than my grades. I won't lie, though. It would have been easier with good grades, but my point is they definitely don't define everything. And I guess I could just talk about somebody I know here that got like I know somebody personally that they were handed a PhD and they really shouldn't have been. They basically argued, it was like their thesis didn't end up being interesting. Like their thesis ended up being nothing, but they just fought hard enough for it and they eventually got it accepted anyways. And now they have their PhD and they're off teaching. If you throw a big enough fit and you, like, this person obviously wasn't that smart, but they fought hard enough for their own cause and they got their PhD. If you were a normal human, I doubt they probably would just say your thesis sucks, you don't get your PhD. My sister told me nothing made her as pro. Oh, this is just to show you the type of people. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Academia is full of the most satanic, do as thou wilt, just quote unquote progressive. They are the most militant Blue Lodgers, people in academia. My sister told me nothing made her as pro-choice as actually being pregnant. Your sister's probably a man. Of course a man isn't going to like being pregnant. MTF get pregnant, they get in vitro, and they have horrible pregnancies, and they get postpartum depression, and they try to tell real women that they're going to get the same thing. Well, real women aren't men pretending to be women with a mangina, getting in vitro, etc. Why do you think that pregnancy is going to affect a real woman the same way that it affects an invert? When analyzing radio telescope signals, does anyone sonify them and use their ears to detect things? Look at their answer. No, we are actually terrible at it and never do this except for outreach. The signal we are looking for is less than 1 part of 100 in the noise, typically, so your ear wouldn't hear much. How do you get data from something that's 99% noise? If the noise is way stronger than the actual data, then who's to say what the data is and what noise is? They can just isolate whatever they want and say, oh, this is what we isolated out of the huge amount of noise. They're basically telling you here that it's a bunch of BS. Most of what they get is just a bunch of background noise, and they can focus in on whatever 1% they want. Who can corroborate that the less than 1 part of 100 is not the noise? How do you know that that's not noise too? It's just crazy. Andromeda is 33 in Chaldean. Not surprising. This is just another training land job. We're kind of switching gears, more Red Lodge type thing. Blue Lodge, very academic, very you just are given your job. Like a rich Blue Lodge person would be like the person that I described earlier. They went through undergrad, they were stupid, they just partied the whole time, they're just an Amazonian tranny, and they just get handed this really nice office job. That's very Blue Lodge. This is very Red Lodge. Am I the asshole for not teaching a skill to my oldest son that I taught his siblings because of the custody arrangement? And so I won't get into this whole thing, but Look at that. Trade schools don't teach these skills. He did ask to move in with me and teach him after high school, but I turned him down because my wife was unwell. His new wife. I don't want to get into the details of the story, but this is Red Lodge. Trades where they don't teach it in school and it's very, very profitable. It could be something very silly, like this person just does stucco, or this person works with iron grates or something. I don't know. But they keep it very secretive, and you can't even go to a trade school to do this. I've reached out to people before. I knew somebody that they made musical instruments in a shop, and I contacted them. I tried to like reach out. Hey, if you ever, because they were by themselves. Hey, if you ever need somebody to help sweep up around your shop or anything like that, they like never respond to me about it. They just ignore me. People don't want to teach their trades. They like having their little secret trades, and then they can charge huge amounts of money for doing their trade, even though it's probably simple. Trades women, trades trannies, they're all inverts. Why? No neck. They're pudgy with no neck. Real men are not pudgy with no neck. Pudgy with no neck. Look at the hands, like the pudgy hands. Man. This is what people think men look like. Nope. This is a Free Martin. They're so pudgy. They have no necks. They have T-Rex arms. People think that's strong. No, that's a tiny, tiny little T-Rex arms. Torque, you need a long humerus bone to have a lot of torque. They're not strong. They're fat. So much orange when it comes to this stuff. Here's an old tranny falling apart. Look at the heels. Wearing heels. More bright orange, fat, round face, widow's peak. Fat, not strong. This is not strong. This is fat. Small machine shop owner. Look, doing the Masonic hand sign. They're trannies. They're part of a club. This isn't even this is a music shop. You can't even open a music shop if you're a regular human. I've had people in the comments tell me before that they had a great business plan and they went out and they tried to start a business, but nobody would give them a loan. That's how it would be if you were a regular human. They would just say, sorry, you're rejected. There's no way that this music shop makes enough money off selling CDs to stay open. You guys all probably know plenty of businesses where you're like, there's no way that that business stays open. They can't sell enough to cover rent. There's legitimate businesses that go out of business because they can't cover rent, and they make way more money than some stupid music shop like this. But, well, they're Masonic tranny, so they get to keep their shop open, even if it doesn't make money. Look at the hair on this one. But look, why do they all look the same? Where are the necks? Why don't you guys have necks? Why don't you have Adam's apples? Why don't you have broad, square shoulders and long, dangly monkey arms? Oh, it's because you're a bunch of trannies. You're surrounded by trannies. So tall. Look how tall they are. But then they have these tiny little arms. Tiny, tiny hands. They look sick in the eyes from the tea abuse. Look at the eyebrows that are right on top of the eye. That's female. They got no... Look at the weak jaw on this one. And then this one has a double chin. It's female. Cheery, rosy cheeks, widow's peak. Female, female, female. All traits of female. Oh, that's my last one. Yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. God bless everybody.